Hello. Welcome to another episode of Texas Strip Club's Uncensored podcast. I'm DJ Jack, and I'm going to be your host for today. Today we're going to talk about a time I worked for a man named Jason Jones at a place called Sugars. I need to give you a little background information about how this gentleman became GM and how it all began. Alright, Sugars was a place here in Austin, Texas, that was well known through the 80s and 90s as the must-be place in Austin, Texas. Rock stars, rappers, actors, comedians, they all went there. I know plenty of older customers around the strip clubs that have told me stories about all the people they met during the 80s and 90s. So that place made millions and millions of dollars, okay? Millions and millions. Well, that was in the 80s and 90s. Since then, it's been on a decline. And the guy that owns the place, a guy named Glenn, has an image of it being way up here. And he started replacing managers and GMs because he's like, I want to get back up here. I want to be back on top. When reality is they're near the bottom of the strip club game here in Austin, Texas now. And he had some good managers and GMs come in. I swear. I knew some of these guys. They were like, okay, you know what? You're making this amount of money. I can get you up here to this amount of money. And almost every single one of them that said that they could do it, did it. Okay? They got them. They make double the amount of money they were making per month, sometimes even triple. But as far as Glenn was concerned, they weren't making those millions and millions of dollars. So he fired him and always replaced him with some idiot. And every time one of my buddies was a GM there, he would hire me. Because he knew that I was good. I was better than the assholes they had. I don't fuck the girls. I didn't get too drunk. I sometimes got drunk around that time. Didn't do drugs. As far as they were concerned, I was great. But then when my friend got fired because Glenn was unhappy, he'd hire some moron who would fire me for his friend, who they would literally fire like 2 weeks later and then call me up and be like, hey, can you come back? Happened repeatedly. I got fired there 6 times because that's how many times I worked there. Anyway, this is about one of those times. Now, Glenn was always unhappy with the GMs, fired him, and got somebody new. The guy I'm talking about was a bartender. He was a barback. He was a jack of all trades. And a guy named Jason Jones. Now, he was not a bad man, as far as I knew. To me, he was a good guy. So he got out word that he needed a new DJ. I called him up and told him, oh yeah, I'm ready to take the small shifts to get started. He's like, no, fuck that. You're going to start at the top. Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. I was like, well, throw in Sunday too. Because, I can make some money. If I get that place going, Sunday night will be good too. So he gave me the shifts that I wanted, and I picked up shifts for other guys. Even though he was like, no, you don't have to do it. I go, look, if it saves fucking time, and it basically fixes the problem, I'll gladly do it. That's the kind of employee I am. Anyway, money started to get better. More girls were showing up. A lot more guys were showing up. And this was the exact time I knew that something was wrong. Guys usually give you like $5 to play a song. $10 if they're feeling generous. But these guys were giving me $20 a song. And they were sober, which was unusual. But, you know what? I wasn't going to complain. Why would I complain? I was going to make money. And I remember this one guy had already given me $200 for 10 songs. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's a great fucking deal as far as I'm concerned. And he's like, oh, I'm all out of money. I got all these lap dances. I was like, you know what? No problem, man. Whatever you want. He gave me 3 songs, right? He's like, I'm gonna do some shots with my boys, play those 3 songs, and then we're going to be out. I was like, all right. I didn't expect him to give me any money. I was going to do it gratis, okay? Because I figured he already gave me $200 for 10 songs. I can play 3 songs on the house, no problem. Instead, this guy gave me 5 baggies of cocaine. Yeah, 20 sacks of cocaine. I threw him the fuck away. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's a stupid fucking move. No, I know 2 guys who have gotten in trouble because somebody put a bag or something in their DJ booth that had drugs. And the cops got there, searched the bag, and they found the drugs. And it doesn't matter if it's filled with bras, birth control, and tampons. You have to fight to explain that that's not your bag. Okay? As far as the cops are concerned, you might have slipped the drugs in to make sure they didn't find them when they checked you. Doesn't matter if the drugs are on the bottom of the bag covered by bras, birth control, and tampons. That's your fucking bag no matter what. And I've known 2 guys that had huge legal problems because of that bullshit. So I didn't want any drugs in my fucking DJ booth. I walked to the bar, wrapped that shit up in a napkin, and threw it the fuck away. I wasn't going to take any chances. So that was my first indication that something was wrong. And then soon, it happened again. And it happened again. Different guys. As soon as that one guy said that I would take drugs to play music, boom. I kept telling him, I was like, guys, I need cash more than I need drugs. And they would give me, most of the time they gave me money. Sometimes they would just go up, give me a song request, and put 220 sacks of cocaine. I know some of you guys are thinking, this dumbass is throwing this shit away. I wasn't gonna risk it. Okay? And I knew these guys were fucking drug dealers. Nobody hands out cocaine like that if they don't have extra cocaine on them. And then the fights started happening. You know, it first began with these 2 friends of Jason's. You know, they were good guys who would give me money and cocaine. And they got into a fight near the entrance. And these guys, the fight was so bad, and they had knocked over a table, and they took it outside. Next thing you know, there was a couple gunshots that were outside. And I know this because first gunshot went off, people were running from the smoking patio into the club. Second shot went off when the door was still open. To explain how I heard it, the DJ booth was right next to the bathroom, which was right next to the door that led to the smoking patio, which is why I heard the second shot. Now, I'm not saying I saw who got shot. I didn't see nothing. So I don't know who got shot. All I know is that when the cops rolled up, the entire front of the club was the people that ran inside said somebody got shot, was covered in soapy water and bleach. The cops got there, they're like, what the fuck is this shit? You know, they're all like, oh, the valet washes cars. And, you know, the valet's like, oh, I wash cars. Yeah, I wash cars. You want me to wash your car, officer? I'll wash your car. It's all about the service, man. I'll wash your car right now. They were trying to sell that shit to the cops. The cops didn't really believe it, but they had no witnesses. Even though people ran into the club, nobody said shit. Dancers, waitresses, customers, nobody said a fucking thing. Cops couldn't do shit. Cops were there more than once, fighting. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Later on that night, because this happened around 12:30 or so, these 2 more guys fucked up. You know, they were all like, hey, man, there's a fight outside. I go, oh, there was a fight. You know, there was a fight outside and gunshots. Cops were there. You know, but that was an hour and a half ago. All they heard me say was there was a fight outside. Next thing I know, these guys pull out 2 handguns. And it didn't look like Glocks and it didn't look like Berettas. From all the action movies I've seen in the 90s and early 2000s, they look like nickel-plated 45s to me. These guys cock their guns and stagger out the front door. I'm telling Jason, I'm like, look, these guys are walking out with handguns in their hands. He's like, oh, man, they do that kind of shit. You can't stop them. I'm like, we need to... I was like, what the fuck, man? They're staggering. They're not walking. They're staggering out the front door because they're so fucked up with a handgun in their hands. I go, we could get in so much trouble. He's like, just shut the fuck up and don't be a pussy. Yeah, you know, that was... You know, I wish I could say it got better. I mean, it got kind of worse. The fights were getting so bad that even Jason, who was the GM, had to get into these fights. Or people were fighting with him because he wasn't treating them how they wanted to be treated. I remember one fight, it was like a fucking melee. And Jason and another manager and the fucking floor guy, or the valet, I forget which one, was all in a fight with like 6 other guys who were fighting 3 other guys. It was a fucking big thing. Anyway, fucking back door opens. And, you know, I hear the fight. I take a look. I see Jason. Next thing I know, I see his girlfriend trying to run out the fucking door. I had to grab her on the waist and drag her inside and saying, no, he's got it. Just get back inside. It took me, like, the music stopped playing. That's how long it took me to get this bitch into the club. Yeah, shit like that happened all the fucking time. I was making money. I was making about $1,500 a week. That's how much money I was making off these fucking drug dealers, just in song requests and tips. And that was about, I would say about $700 more than I thought I was going to make a week there. So I was making great money. And it just got fucking worse. I mean, it just got worse. One day, I'm trying to leave the club when I go outside, and there's somebody whose leg has obviously been broken, and they're complaining about how he's going to get to the hospital because they can't call an ambulance because then the cops will show up. I don't remember who took the guy because I saw this and hauled ass and pretended I didn't see a fucking thing. And I was at the end of my rope. Yeah, it was a lot of money. There's drugs, obviously, because they're giving it to me every fucking night at work. But I didn't want to fucking take it. I was throwing them away because I didn't want to get caught. The cops showed up because they finally made it when somebody made a fucking phone call. I would have been in so much fucking trouble if I got caught with drugs on me or in the DJ booth. So I was on the edge. And then the night, it was the night that actually made me realize I have to get the fuck out. I was already on the edge of quitting on a Wednesday. Then I was like, oh man, I'm just got to make it to the end of this week. If the end of this week, nothing bad has happened, maybe I'll consider staying here. That's what I was telling myself. Then comes fucking Friday. This guy comes up and he's like, hey man, can you hold this for me? I'm going to give me a little dirty dance, dog. Just hold this for me. I thought it was drugs. Instead, what he was trying to hand me was a fucking handgun. And I was like, oh man, just put it right there by the trash can. I had this little office trash can in DJ booth. And he put the gun between the side of the booth and the trash can. So it was out of sight, out of mind. It wasn't out of my mind because I ran to the bathroom trying to be like, oh my fucking Christ. What the fuck am I going to do? If the cops show up, I'm going to be like, okay, it's not my gun. My fingerprints on it. I don't know what happened. I went to the bathroom. I go out and have smoke every once in a while. Might have happened. I didn't fucking see it. I didn't throw anything away in the trash. Trash can's clean. I was panicking. And then the guy came back an hour later, gave me $200, said, thank you, dog, and headed out of the club. That was on a Friday. Fucking Saturday came on. I had 2 more days, Saturday and Sunday to go. And I'm thinking, I'm going to quit. That's when this guy showed up again and said, hey, man, can you hold on to this for me? He put his gun in the exact same spot. He gave me $500 and said, thank you. It literally walked off like he didn't have a care in the world. I was freaking out. The gun was in my DJ booth for 6 fucking hours. I was sweating bullets, praying to the gods the fucking cops didn't fucking show up. Praying to the strip club gods the cops weren't going to show up. So as I'm sitting there, I'm just like sweating bullets, praying nobody shows up. 6 hours later, he comes back. He gives me another $500 and he's like, hey man, thank you. I appreciate that shit. And leaves. I go to the last hour fucking being like, you know what? This is it. I'm fucking done. It's fucking done. And, you know, and for part of me, the greedy part of me was like, you've made so far $2,500. $2,500 in 4 fucking days because of this shit. Maybe we could work this out. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck that shit. I'm not going to do it. I call Jason Jones and I'm like, look, man, all this shit's going on. I don't know if I could take it. I don't know if I can handle it. He keeps telling me, don't act like a bitch. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go through this shit anymore. He's like, you know what? I can't have a bitch working for me. You're fired. This is the only time he ever really got mad at me, ever. But I'm telling him, I was like, hey, man, I can't do this shit anymore because people are giving me drugs and guns. And he's like, what the... Like, he was trying to be like, why are you being a bitch? There's nothing bad about this. And I got fired for the 3rd time from Sugars because I was worried about guns and money. I'm sorry, guns and drugs. And a few months later, Jason quit / got fired because they found out that he'd been stealing a shit ton of money from the club while he was there. All right, that was my time about the time I worked at Sugars and I got fired working under Jason Jones. Thank you for listening. Please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe if you can be bothered to. If not, to hell with it. I just really appreciate you listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my ramblings, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.